This is Thomas Morgan. Today is January 18th, 2024. I had invited everyone to attend this compliance manager session to talk about safeguarding policies and procedures. It's really important right now that we talk about this because there have been a lot of solicitations that I've seen coming from third-party compliance providers. There's a lot of misinformation in that. So I was going to share my screen and allow you to see what I'm talking about. We can go through your policies and procedures to see that you meet the requirements of the FTC safeguarding rule. I'm going to bring up the policy and procedure and take a look at it. For those of you who are in the system, you know how our system works. We provide you with a policy and procedure and then a subfolder of forms and exhibits. One of the things that you'll see here is the generic template. This is the current most up-to-date version. If you use navigation, which you can pull up by simply doing Control Find and then hitting settings, you can organize your policy and procedure in a way so that it doesn't look quite so large, simply by using the navigation tool and highlighting and minimizing those things. And this way you can easily navigate along with me. The IT security plan itself, we've constructed in a way so that you have a summary of all the safeguarding rules here under the 2-90 section. Let's look at this quickly. And of course, you can use the hyperlink section or you can just navigate this way. The rules that address information security and customer identification include FACTA, Gramm-Leach-Bliley, Sarbanes-Oxley, and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. As it applies to safeguarding, the main rule is the Gramm-Leach-Bliley safeguarding rules. So we think about GLB and we think about privacy and information sharing, and that's not the main element of this. What we're really looking for is how are we protecting customer information? That was the upshot of the solicitation that we saw go out. The compliance provider basically said, hey, listen, there's a new rule that's going into effect April 2024. And if you're not in compliance, they can fine you $43,000 a day. The rule actually went into effect in 2021. There were some changes initiated by industry, and that was pushed back. Then the effective date was 2022. But then after the scope of that was evaluated, they pushed it to 2023 and then finally to April of 2024. These are all the same rules that we've had compliance identified since 2021. So the new rule, the idea that it's a new rule, is a little disingenuous. Information security, cybersecurity. So what, in the simple terms, what is required? Well, first of all, we identify red flags, risks for and then how we mitigate those risks using checklists and other tools with respect to the ID thefts portion of the plan. Security is sort of a backwards process. We're supposed to help a customer if their ID has been stolen. All of these things fall into a client IT security plan. First, information security personnel duties, what we have to do to secure personal information, how we dispose of secure information, what we have to protect. What do we do? We are subject to a breach of some sort, how we protect remote work environments, disaster recovery, and the training that we provide. Where are the areas of risks? We know now that the greatest area of risk is into our employees. People clicking on links, giving passwords out, sharing documents across insecure networks. That's where we need to focus on ensuring that everyone knows what they need to do in order to keep customer information secure. These are vendors, wholesalers, credit bureaus. We vet our vendors. How much supervision does that company already have? Physical office security, locking the doors, cleaning the desks, network security. And if you don't have a network, understanding your access via Wi-Fi is not necessarily secure if you haven't protected your emails, what needs to be secure communication, what you should send via email, what you should encrypt, password security, external device security, and all of this relative to the transfer of customer information. That's the scope of the IT security policy. We'll see what NPI is. See if I'm just getting somebody's name and phone number. Is that non-public information? Probably not. Non-public personal information called NPI. We provide you with an example of what's public and non-public. How long do we have to keep something? Well, what is the business use for retaining that information? If we have a transaction type, a pre-qual is a general inquiry, we should retain nothing. Anything that we get should be shredded or disposed of within 30 days of disposition. So if we do a pre-qualification and we provide them a pre-qualification letter, and then the customer never responds to us, we should dispose of that within 30 days. Anything that the customer has given us, the personal financial information sheet that they gave to a real estate agent, for instance. Approved or canceled pre-approvals, per our information security policy. A WISP, a written information security plan, that's what we're looking at. The second piece of this is defining our personnel. Who is the person who's responsible? If it's you, insert your name. But what do you have to do? The information security officer is responsible for conducting risk assessments, company operations, vendor relationships, disaster recovery. Within this, we define the scope of what that person's job is. We find that the most frequent citation people receive from regulators when their plans are reviewed is that they don't reference updating. Change management is a huge part of this process as we go through and assess our risks and what we're doing to offset them. So it's not a static thing. We have to continue to evaluate what it is we are protecting against. As part of that process, use auditors and a few of the different resources that are available for us in evaluating where we are and how we can use tools that are already at our disposal to address our risks and offset them, mitigate them. Office security is where a lot of cyber crimes occur. Somebody's laptop gets stolen from the office. Even if you're a very small company, a one-person shop, you must secure the office. A clean desk policy means that you might have relics. We're getting information via uploads, transfers. We've got a Dropbox. We receive information via email. We're taking notes, say, for instance, jotting down a customer's social security number to order a credit report, taking some information on account numbers to validate something. This is what we call a relic. You cannot allow somebody to come into your office who's not an employee. Key cards, keys, and key offices, tracking that. You need to start tracking this information. The spreadsheet we provide can help you with this process. Controlled access by job duties. How are we ensuring that customers' information is not being viewed by somebody who has no business looking at that? So if you've got a processor who is handling half of a pipeline and another processor handling half a pipeline, how are you bifurcating that? By job duty. Further, receptionists, non-loan staff shouldn't be granted access to the system without a specific business purpose. Password security. One of the things we've learned is that frequent changes of your passwords, according to Microsoft, not necessarily the best method for keeping your password secure. In other words, a very complex password that doesn't have to be changed all the time may be better at protecting security than a password that changes every 90 days. People tend to use an easy to remember password. So encourage the use of a password locker. If you're encouraging password changes, then these are password guidelines. When somebody asks you, do you have a password security program? FTC is enforcing is multi-factor authentication. Almost everybody requires some form of multi-factor authentication. If you have a network that you're accessing locally, then it should be secured either through a smart device, passwords, and two-factor authentication. This comes down to your IT security inventory. One of the things we recommend is that you go through and create an inventory. This is a tool that's in your forms where you identify your IT devices, laptops, cell phones, desktops, and make a date the last time the system itself was updated and whether or not they have remote wipe enabled. These are the key tools to allow us to ensure that if information does go missing, we're able to access to it by remote wiping it. The major problem in incidents is the failure to patch devices. Manufacturers of computers, operating systems, modems, other communications devices often discover vulnerabilities in those systems and push out patches to ensure that those devices do have that vulnerability eliminated. Some elements For instance, browsers which become obsolete. We see people still using old Internet Explorer browsers. Go through your inventory of equipment and software programs. Obsolete systems can become vulnerabilities. Electronic communications, the final piece where vulnerability is also schemes with texting, phishing. We need to understand basic protocols with respect to electronic communications. So, and of course, personal use should be limited on company devices. Encrypted email, not every email has to be encrypted, but any email where you're sending a customer document, a loan application, customer information should be delivered via encrypted email. So do not, just because your email is itself is encrypted, does not mean that a document can't be intercepted. Avoiding email scams. Phishing is the biggest area in which we see exposure to malware attacks, hacking, and system access. All of the major hacks that you've seen in the news over the past 12 to 18 months have come vulnerabilities that have been exposed by email or customer or an individual clicking on an email that has been sent. Avoiding email scams is the best way of avoiding hacks, automatic document destruction. If you have an offsite paper records storage facility, we recommend that you only use a secure, bonded professional records management company. And then providing the training for the various topics. Here are the potential list of training topics that we can provide you with. If you're doing external training or training that's non-NMLS, and even if it is NMLS type training, keeping a record of that to ensure that you are able to document that you have provided training. Any of these topics are legitimate IT security training topics. Keep a copy of the certificate and a syllabus of the course. Malicious code prevention, anti-phishing training testing. These are the mitigations for the hacks. Use VPN. Make sure we have antivirus software installed. Go through your own internal IT vendor review. Make sure that the people who are providing services are securing customer information and going through an information security risk assessment. This is where we ask questions. Is my network secure? Is my router running the current version of its firmware? By going through this, you're documenting it and hopefully finding some weaknesses, but also then understanding how you mitigate it. These are the elements of the IT security plan. So the 4 components of IT security, like any compliance management system, is first, you, the manager. Second, the policy and procedure. Third, the training. And fourth, the audit. We provided you with the self-paced audit that you can go through yourself. If you'd like us to take a look at it, come over here to IT audit reviews and you take your cybersecurity risk assessment. We'll do a third-party review and you get a written report and manager training as part of that product. So hope this is useful. If you have any questions, of course, message me directly. I can show your compliance by printing this screen here at the end, or if you're in the compliance management system, we will record your training for you. Thank you very much.